Hello, I'm the district judge of the 25th Judicial District. I've served in this position for the past 7 years. My background, probably the best way to describe me is I'm a Christian, I'm a husband, and I'm a father. My wife is currently over in Colorado County at the meet and greet. I came here because I accepted this invitation first. My wife Sheila and I have been married for almost 31 years. We have 4 beautiful children, school teacher, my son's in the Army in Poland. My youngest daughter works in Houston as a marketing research analyst. And then my youngest son is in the Corps of Cadets at Texas A&M. And had his picture in front of Ms. Draper's dad's hall last week. It's an honor and privilege to be your judge. This is obviously the pinnacle of my career. I am a 1987 Baylor Law School grad. I was a lawyer for 25 years before taking the bench. And it's important to note that I did those type of cases that I hear today. So when I stepped on the bench 7 years ago, it was a natural progression for me. It was really an easy transition. We have been very aggressive at moving cases in the 25th Judicial District. I am the local administrative judge for all 4 counties. That means that I have some additional administrative responsibilities over the other judges, namely courthouse security, and then I also appoint the officers for the appraisal review board. But one of the things that I always promised when I was running the first time is that I wouldn't ignore Lavaca County, that I would be here, and I have done that.
So, one of the questions we got is, what are your top 3 primary guides that you do consider when you're considering making a law? And why?
First of all, United States Constitution, the Texas Constitution, that's number 1, the written law, and then finally, what we call stare decisis, which is the precedent set by other appellate courts. We have courts in cases, and they decide the meaning and interpretation of the law, and then we have to apply it. I'm in a really unique situation. Judge Crawford and I share this district, but we serve 4 courts of appeals. And that may not mean a whole lot, but we answer to the Corpus, to the San Antonio, and to the 2 Houston courts of appeals. No other judges in the state do that. So we have 4 different courts that we have to rely on to determine what the applicable law is and how that law is interpreted. It makes it a little difficult because what happens in the Court of Appeals in San Antonio isn't the same thing that happens in the Corpus Court or in the
This question is one that I think concerns many people. Do you believe accepting campaign contributions from attorneys affects the integrity and fairness of the bench?
I absolutely do. When I started running back in 2011, I vowed not to take money from any attorney who would practice in front of me. Now that puts me at a serious disadvantage when I run a campaign, because most people don't want to contribute to judicial races. They don't know who their district judges are, don't really care who their district judges are. So I borrowed $50,000 my first campaign, and I used that money. I did get some campaign contributions, but I did not and do not take money from attorneys that could possibly practice in front of me. This year, done the same thing. Borrowed $50,000. I paid the first loan back. I'm going to pay this next one back when I win. But I just think it's wrong. I don't ever want an attorney to be sitting across from me or their client wondering if the opponent had given money to my campaign. That does not speak to a fair and impartial judiciary.
Okay. So, red flag laws have been enacted by Texas Governor Abbott via executive orders. What guarantees of due process would need to be in these laws to fully respect all constitutional rights of the individual guaranteed by the Texas Constitution?
That's an interesting question. Not really sure exactly how to answer that. You know, I will, as judge, follow the laws that are written. I am a member of the National Rifle Association. I have my own concealed carry permit. I carry most of the time. I believe in the rights of the individual to be armed. I think armed citizens are protected citizens. And it's going to be a while before we start seeing those laws get into the court system. And it's going to be interesting because we have several counties in the district which have now declared themselves sanctuaries. And so it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. As a judge, I'm going to follow the law, and I'm sure I'll probably get appealed on some of my rulings about that, and we'll let the appellate courts decide how it goes forward.
The bail laws in Texas are under scrutiny right now. The urban areas are trying to change the way we view bail. What would be your position on the bail laws currently or going forward?
Bail is a necessary evil in some respects. The problem that you see in the bigger counties with bail is that it's unevenly applied based on someone's socioeconomic class or perhaps their racial makeup. And so it's not evenly applied. In the 25th Judicial District, routinely we see, bail bonds, $5,000, $10,000. Typically, when I set bail, I set it higher because I'm hearing felonies. And so I'm setting the bails for felonies. The idea of bond and having bond is just to ensure that somebody shows up for court when they're supposed to and to make sure that the public is safe. Certainly when I set a felony bond, I'm keeping both of those things in consideration, but primarily the protection and safety of the public.
There is a lot of discussion amongst the legislators and others about a standardized risk assessment, providing that at the time of arraignment. Would you favor something like that that would go across the state, or do you think it's still a discretionary issue for each judge?
Well, and that's a great question, because yes, there should always be judicial discretion. I absolutely believe that. However, there needs to be guidelines, because I don't know if the magistrate that's hearing the case is taking into consideration everything. They get limited information when somebody's brought to the jail to be magistrated. So they may not know about his criminal record. They may not know that he has something from out of state. So there's a lot of unknowns. Certain guidelines I don't have a problem with, because it keeps everybody honest. A bail situation in Lavaca County is so much different than Harris County because of the mobility of the individuals. If somebody from Shiner commits a crime and he's lived here all his life, that's different. Now, if that same person goes to Houston and commits a crime, that's different. And so those should be weighed differently, and perhaps some sort of guidelines will provide better uniformity.
Many cases end up getting settled out in court. Two-part question. One, what are your feelings about this overage being allowed? And are the costs for trials overriding just punishment?
Well, in civil cases, and we have trouble getting civil cases to trial because we have felony cases that take precedence. As a judge, if a case is set for trial, and usually whenever we have a docket, we have 3, 4, 5 cases set for trial. If somebody's in jail, that takes precedent. If there's a child victim, that takes precedent. So the civil cases kind of take a back seat. And unfortunately, it takes longer to try those because the next time they come up, same situation is going to happen. There's a guy in jail, we're going to take that case first. So mediation and trying to resolve the civil cases is absolutely encouraged. Absolutely encouraged. As a matter of fact, for civil people to get to trial, they have to have mediated first. That's one of our local rules. that we insist on. And, you know, if they want their day in court, they get it. It just sometimes takes longer if it's a state.
Concludes the questions. Judge, you have a minute to sum up for all of the folks here.
I've administered justice in this county and the other 3 counties. I need your support and your vote. And tonight I humbly ask you for your vote on March the 3rd, because I am the judge with most experience. I have 7 years judicial experience, 32 years as a lawyer, and I think I've shown that I have the integrity that this office needs. So I would appreciate your vote. Thank you very much.